Well guys, it's time to learn whether par for the course Tried and True can still compete with relatively cutting edge. Let's get to work. Hey guys, Andrew here. Welcome back to Work the Trigger. Today we've got another comparison for you, and the comparison today is between the Glock 43X and the Springfield Hellcat PRO. Two firearms that are extremely close in their dimensions and a lot of their specs, but the Hellcat PRO has a little something up its sleeve. But before we get to the comparison, I would like to ask you guys a favor. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button down below and that like button. That'll help us grow and be able to get you more content. Remember, you can also help us out by heading over to WT3D.com, WorkTheTrigger.com, or becoming a channel member right here. Let's get back to it. As always, we'll cover the basics here in the studio, then we'll head out to the range to shoot a little bit and head back here for a follow-up. First up, let's go over the specs of these two guns, starting with the Glock 43X. So the 43X has a barrel length of 3.41 inches, so we'll just say about 3.4 to 3.5 inches. An overall length of 6.5 inches, an overall height of 5.04 inches, a max width of 1.1 inches, but the slide width is actually 0.87 inches, and a weight of 1 pound, 2.7 ounces. Now the magazine capacity on your 43X here is 10 rounds in the magazine, plus the one in the chamber. Now it comes in two general flavors. You're looking at the base model flavor here for about $450. For that, you're getting two of those 10-round magazines, and for about $600, you can get the MOS version that's got the optics plate up here on top, also coming with two 10-round magazines. Specs on the Hellcat PRO, we got a 3.7-inch barrel, so 0.3 inches longer. We've got a length of 6.6 inches, so 0.1 inch longer. We've got a height of 4.8 inches, which is actually about 0.2 inches shorter than the Glock 48, because remember, the Glock 48's mag does stick out the bottom here. A width of 1.1 inches on the frame, and a slide width of 0.87 inches. So other than a minute difference in overall length, we're really looking at the same size gun as the Glock 43X. Now here is the trick that the Hellcat PRO has up its sleeve. It has 15 round magazines in the same form factor as the Glock 43X. Now it does come with two of those, and it only comes in the one general model. Now you can get different colors, but this general model comes in for about $510. That's about $60 more than the base level of the Glock, but the Hellcat PRO is optics cut for that. You also get a nifty little carry bag. That's something that I kind of appreciate that Springfield does. Let's go to a couple of bit more specifications and we'll go hit the range. So let's start at the top on the features on the 43X. First up, you've got standard Glock sights. That would be your plastic sights on the standard 43X. This has been upgraded with Ameriglow sights, so we're going to take the sights out of the account for this particular one. Again, we've got a standard slide and an optics ready version. The optics ready version tagging about $150 on that price tag. The 43X does have a rail, but it is a proprietary rail, so you're not looking at a standard Picatinny rail on there. Coming back, you have a single-sided slide release, you've got a swappable magazine release, and a texture that is not great. Honestly, this makes the Gen 5 texturing feel like sandpaper, essentially. There is not a lot of grip on this particular gun. So now let's talk a little bit about that trigger pull profile. The trigger pull for this is pretty standard for a Glock, generally what you would think is like a Glock Gen 5. Let's go ahead and find some weights. We've got a 5-pull average of 4 pounds, 2.1 ounces. Looking at the pull itself, you got your pretty standard Glock grit back about a little over a 1/4 inch, maybe a little under 3/8 of an inch to a hard wall. You've got that wall, and then you've got brake. That brake is rather long, a lot of creep, and our reset is coming back out pretty much that whole, the brake, audible and tactile reset right back on the wall. Now looking at the feature set on the Hellcat PRO. Now the Hellcat PRO sights significantly better than the stock Glock sights as far as features go. Profile, I actually prefer the stock Glock sights profile a little bit more. They tend to be a little bit more accurate, but the Hellcat PRO here is significantly quicker on the draw. You've got a high vis front up here, a U-notch rear, which I typically don't like. I like the square notch rears a little bit more. Coming back again, the Hellcat PRO does have an optics cut as base for that like $510 price point, so you're ahead there. We've got a standard Picatinny rail on the Hellcat PRO, which means you can use all of your standard accessories. So something like the TLR7 sub in its standard base form you can get for this. You don't have to buy a model specific one. We have a single-sided slide stop slide release, swappable magazine release, and grip texturing that is identical to the standard Hellcat. Now, it's really nice because the standard Hellcat texturing is actually a pretty nice texturing. It's rough without being too rough, so you're not going to be worrying about having it on your skin or anything, and that does give you ample grip to be able to really hold on that firearm. Now, one thing to point out about the Hellcat PRO versus the standard Hellcat is the Hellcat PRO is a little bit thicker, so you're not going to be able to have that holster compatibility that you would have with the Hellcat and the Hellcat PRO as you do with the Glock 43X and the 48. Don't know why they did that. Don't ask me, I'm not the one that made the design choice, but that is something to keep in mind. Let's go over the trigger pull a little bit on the Hellcat PRO here. And for the Hellcat Pro, we're looking at a 5-pull average of 5 pounds, 9.7 ounces. So we are looking at a little bit heavier with the Hellcat Pro. That being said, by the finger, the Hellcat Pro actually ends up a little bit better. Here's why. The pull profile on the Hellcat Pro is a significantly lighter, significantly smoother take-up. About the same length, a little under that 3/8 of an inch, but you've got a much smoother take-up to a hard wall, crisp brake with about 2/3 of the brake travel of that Glock. Reset on the Hellcat Pro is back out and back to the brake. Now the overall brake on the two is very similar as far as the smoothness of the brake goes, but you are looking at a lot smoother pre-travel on the Hellcat over the Glock. So now that we've gone over all that, let's go ahead and head out to the range and we'll see how these two guns shoot. All right guys, so now we are out at the range with the Hellcat Pro and the Glock 43X. Again, these guns are a 1/4 inch off in size overall, so they are very comparable firearms when you look at them. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and shoot them and let you know how they compare on the range in actual use. First, what we're gonna do is we're gonna shoot a mag through each one. After I shoot a mag through the gun, I'm gonna let you know what I think. Then we'll go ahead and do the straight up comparison, where I shoot a couple of rounds through each one, alternating between the two to let you guys know what the similarities and differences are in the shooting profiles. Then we'll do a time trial to see which gun is quicker in a short little string of shots that we have. First up, let's go ahead and shoot a mag through each gun. First, let's go with the Hellcat Pro. Again, the Hellcat Pro does have a 15-round magazine, giving it 5 additional rounds over the Glock 43X. Let's go ahead and shoot the Hellcat Pro a little bit, then we'll talk a little bit about how it shoots. Okay, so the Hellcat Pro shoots surprisingly well for a gun with the shorter barrel as it has, but a lot of that is because of that longer grip that we get. With that 15-round capacity also obviously comes a longer grip. That longer grip gives you a lot more to be able to hold on to versus something like the original Hellcat or the 365 where that grip cuts off. Same reason that the Glock 43X exists at all. Over the standard 43, giving that additional length does give you more control on the gun. Recoil impulse of the Hellcat is sharp, but not overly sharp. It's definitely not what you would expect out of a compact or subcompact. It is sharper than that, but it's not going to be so sharp to the point where it throws you off. Follow-up shots are pretty easy. Tracking is relatively straight up and down. Sights on the Hellcat, really usable up close especially. You get a little bit further out and the benefit starts kind of narrowing a little bit over some other sights. You just don't see it as much. Up close, that high-vis front gives you a lot of the ability to go really quick on the close shots. Out further, matters a little bit less. Let's go ahead and shoot the 43X now and talk about how it shoots. So the 43X, again, we've got that long grip for the 10-round mags in the Glock over the 6-round mags in the standard 43. Now the 43X, again, is gonna give us that long, full-length grip, but we're getting the shorter barrel similar to the 43 or the Hellcat Pro over something like the Glock 48. It's gonna give us a longer barrel. That should, in theory, increase the recoil impulse just a little bit. We'll go ahead and see how that's gonna function. Now this slide does have aftermarket sights on it, so I'm not gonna be able to talk a whole lot about the sights versus the Hellcat sights, but stock Glock sights are well profiled but poorly featured sights. They're plastic, so they're not very durable. The single dot front and that weird like squared off U in the back, it doesn't do a whole lot. They're perfectly functional in their stock profile if you're going plinking. I would never recommend carrying them with them. Let's go ahead and shoot the 43X a little bit, then we'll talk a little bit about how it fires. So the 43X seems like, I feel like I just need to grip it a little bit heavier than the Hellcat to get the same control out of. After you grip it that extra little bit, it does feel like you get that control back. It doesn't feel uncontrollable. Recoil impulse seems very similar to it, maybe a little bit sharper, but we'll cover the difference in the recoil impulse feels in just a second. It's a pretty trackable gun, pretty quick back on target. The 10-round magazines kind of suck. We've talked about that already with the 10-round capacity of the 43X and the 48, but let's go ahead and go to the comparison section where we're gonna go ahead and shoot a couple of rounds through each gun, and then we'll talk directly about the differences and similarities in how the two guns fire. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do now is we're going to take both the Glock 43X and the Hellcat, we're gonna send a mag through them, but we're gonna alternate rounds. We're gonna shoot a couple of rounds through the 43X, a couple of rounds through the Hellcat Pro, and what I'm focusing on is the overall shooting profile of both guns, how snappy they are, how it feels in the hand, how the trigger reset works, how the trigger crispness works, how it affects brake, all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and get the 43X loaded up. Now I did download the Hellcat Pro mag to 10 rounds because Glock mags have crap capacity. Let's go ahead and start with the Hellcat. We'll just alternate between the two. Jeez. don't even know where that one went.
Oh, the horseshoe? Yeah. It's hard to find.
Okay, so one thing that I've noticed recently, the Hellcat has not held open on a single shot. 43X has, so that's nice. Now, shooting profile, the 43X is a little bit snappier, but this is super weird because I feel like the 43X actually shoots a little bit more predictably than the 48. Like the 48, because of the size, I expect it to settle quicker, and so I don't recover as fast. The 43X, I expect this thing to be jumpy, and because I expect it to be jumpy, I seem to be able to get back on pretty quick. I did, however, have more misses with this for some reason, because I'm shooting at 10-yard steel, and I'm shooting at the head of 10-yard steel, but that's still like a 6-inch by 6-inch target, so not 100% sure what that was about, but I don't think that was the gun. But I will say that I noticed the same thing with the 43X and the Hellcat that I did with the 48 and the Hellcat, where the 43X and the 48, because they have a much more rounded back strap here, they seem to spread the pressure out a little bit more than the Hellcat. The Hellcat, because it's a wider rear strap here, it's nice because it spreads that pressure out, but it creates hot spots at both sides, and you tend to notice it a little bit more. It's just not as comfortable to shoot. It may be a little bit more controllable, but not as comfortable. So now let's go ahead and do our last test. So this one is a time test. We've got steel at 10 yards and steel at 20 yards. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take 5 shots at the 10-yard steel and 2 shots at the 20-yard steel. So they have to be successful hits, not really caring about accuracy a whole lot, just caring about speed and, relative accuracy. We're gonna time those, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the disparity between the two times and what that could mean. First up, let's go ahead and start with the Hellcat Pro.
Oh yeah, Springfield. You can blame me for that.
Okay, so we got a time of 3:58 on the Hellcat Pro. All right, now the 43X. And a 3:57 with the 43X. Okay, so I had a miss with both guns, but when you look at it overall, both guns shot almost identically, which is a big indicator of how this form factor of gun really shoots, and the consistency that you see within that form factor. Another thing that it does is magnifies the capabilities of mag capacity, because with the 43X, I only have 2 rounds left, and with the Hellcat Pro, I have 7. So let's go ahead and head back to the studio now, and we'll round all this up. All right, guys, so now we've gone out to the range and shot both of these guns. So what do I think? So both of these guns have ups and downs. The Glock 43X, although it seems to recoil a little bit more, is actually a little bit more comfortable to shoot. They really did a good job of profiling the backstrap area here to place nice pressure all along your little finger web. But the 10-round mags kinda sucks. The grip texturing is way too low. They need to up that a little bit to be able to give you a little bit better grip on the gun without having to squeeze the ever-loving crap out of it. The Hellcat Pro, we've got that 15-round magazine, which is absolutely awesome. The grip texturing, significantly better. The overall recoil impulse is slightly lighter, but their profiling in the frame and the slightly sharper corners over here on the edges does give you hot spots on your hand when you're shooting, and you do end up feeling that after a while. Now, it doesn't seem to affect return to zero much, but that being said, it's just something that you do notice. So, which of these two guns would I prefer? Now, both of these guns are excellent. You are going to have more accessories with the Glock, but to me, the 15-round mag capacity of the Hellcat is just unbeatable. Yes, you can get the shield mags for the Glock, but we've been hearing about reliability issues with the shield mags since they came out. They're now to the full release version, and a lot of those reliability issues have not cleared up yet. So I'm just not comfortable using them. So this remains a 10-round gun, while this is a 15-round gun. Now, in subsequent shootings with the Hellcat Pro, it has started to lock back. I think it just needed loosened up a little bit on firing. I hate the term break-in with the guns. There shouldn't be any break-in period with these things, but sometimes you do have a little bit of hiccups. They're close to the beginning. Now, that being said, even though personally, to carry, I would choose the Hellcat, I do have a little bit of an issue against Springfield, and some of the crap that they've done in their past, they've been kind of shady. And this isn't like long-term past like Ruger, like years and years ago. This is like within the last 5 years that Springfield has done some shady crap. Do yourself a favor and Google that before you make this decision if that kind of thing is important to you. I'm not going to spread it out here, but if you are a Pro 2A advocate and you want to avoid companies that have kind of thrown us under the bus, do yourself a favor and look that up. So thanks guys for watching. I hope this video helped you out a little bit. If it did, do me a favor and hit that like button down below. If you like this video and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. If you want to help the channel out a little bit, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can head over to workthetrigger.com. Over there you can find coupon codes, affiliate codes, and links to our merch. You can go to WTT3D.com. Over there you can find custom 3D printed gun accessories. You can head over and become a member of our Patreon. That's patreon.com/workthetrigger, or you can be a channel member right here on YouTube. Thanks guys, I appreciate every one of you, and until next time, do your research, get informed, and get to work.